Hello, and welcome to the Advocate Podcast. I'm Rebecca Tripp, and today I have my friend Dani joining me. She's a graduate from Trent University and also spent a year abroad in the UK. So without further ado, here she is. Hi, Dani, and welcome to the podcast. Why don't we start off by you telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Hi, Rebecca. My name is Danielle, or Dani. I studied English, linguistics, and literature at Trent University. I love all things art and sunny and bright. I love nature, and I'm excited to keep talking to you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So why don't we dive right into your educational background a bit? You said you did English Lit. So can you tell us a little bit about how you decided on the school that you went to and that specific program?
I knew from the very beginning I loved reading. There was a point in my time, my life, where my mom would just tell me not to read as a punishment. Rather than say no TV or no phone or no video games, she would straight up be like, you're not allowed to read, no reading for you. So it's always been there in my life, and we always had books. And I remember growing up in my grandparents' house, there's always just old books, and I would just read them, even though I didn't understand them, I would try. And it's just always been there. So through high school, I was always writing, and I was doing really well with writing. I had teachers really be supportive in what I was doing and what I was writing, anything creative or academic. And it just was something that continued through high school too. So when I actually went to Trent, I went in for sociology. I did a little bit of bio. I kind of hopped around. I did everything but English. I took one English course in my first year of university at Trent, and I hated it. I did not like it. I was just this doesn't feel right. But then I just kind of kept going back to it. I had a really great prof, and because of that particular prof, I was like, this is it. No, this is why I like writing. It's because, he kind of gave me that push. I don't need to do sciences or have to feel like I need to justify my degree with something, because for some reason, English didn't feel like something to study or something that would be better, that would embetter myself. I needed to do science and be a hard fact kind of girl, but I was never that girl. So that's when I ended up going to Trent and switching my major and doing a lot of creative writing.
Wonderful. So can you tell us a little bit about the program itself? What were the classes like, and what was the course load like?
The course load, compared to a lot of the sciences I did, is really light and really easygoing. And I have a lot of friends who are still in the sciences, and they joke around, because they'll take an English course and say, is this really school? Does this count as school? And I'm like, it totally does. It totally does. You're learning a lot. You don't even realize it. I took a lot of workshop courses just because I like that hands-on experience, being able to write and talk with other writers and edit and being able to publish, just having open conversations while still having an academic kind of environment too. So it's almost the best of both worlds of being able to study and do at the same time. So the workshops were great, even the regular lecture style courses or the traditional sit down seminars. I had a really old school prof who would make us count out each syllable and emphasis and mark it out in a poem. Very old school, very traditional, and I got a great mix. Trent is really great at mixing it up and keeping it open to anyone. So any kind of learning style, you'll find what you like. And that's what drew me to Trent, actually.
Interesting. Yeah. As a history major, we didn't do any workshop classes, but I feel from what you're saying, they're more practical and hands-on versus lectures and seminars.
They can be. I see the benefit in both. Both of them are incredibly great and useful, but there's something really inspiring about sitting down with a bunch of people and who are like-minded like you, and talking about writing and each other's writing and getting to know each other through just thought processes. And we would limit ourselves too. So the same kind of structure in a traditional lecture seminar sort of environment is just kind of diluted in a way, but it's also opening up the conversations that you wouldn't have otherwise in a traditional lecture.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes it great. There's more room for discussion and to kind of branch off even and find ideas that wouldn't have come up otherwise in a lecture.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I can see a lot of value in like workshop settings. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you also did a year abroad when you were at Trent. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It was amazing. The whole thing, even the preparation, the paperwork, the cost, everything was incredible. And for some reason, I guess it's just the excitement of a potential of like leaving your country and going someplace else and starting a new life was equally as exciting as that preparation time, getting all the paperwork done. I had to go to Ottawa to get biometric scans because there was like no appointments to do it anywhere close by in Toronto where I was.
Mm-hmm.
So it meant like I went to like Ottawa and I stayed in the night in a hostel that was like a prison cell. Like it was like, I was just like, if I'm going to go to Ottawa, I'm going to make it so dang fun. I stayed like in a solitary confinement room. It was just enough room for a bed. Like that was it. So just the process to going to the UK and studying there was exciting enough. Stressful sometimes, yeah, but so worth it. And lots of paperwork. It's just like staying on top of dates and making sure you're getting payments in and the forms are filled out at the right time. That preparation is important, but it's what makes going to the UK so much more fun. Because the culture shock, we don't really think about it. It seems like it's supposed to be very similar. They speak English. They have very similar lives here. There shouldn't be too much of a cultural difference, like you would assume, but there's so much that I didn't know and ways of life that like I was like prepared to encounter, but having it face on and feeling it for the first time outside of like a Canadian perspective and from my family, like we're from the Caribbean, it was different. And it sounds silly that I was shocked, but like it's also you're kind of dropped into a new environment by yourself and learning in a new environment by yourself. Even like the university experience was different. The people were great. I never had a bad time. Everyone was just so friendly, and they always asked, like, "Are you American?" And so at like some points, I would just be like, "Yes, I am," because it was like the first question, the first thing that people would say to me. It's like, "Oh, are you from the States?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, yeah." It was just fun. People were interested in me, and I was interested in them. The culture is great. I didn't have a bad moment there, and the school was amazing. I went to the University of Birmingham too. A lot of fun. I love the structure, and I almost want it to be implemented or find it to be implemented somehow into Canadian curriculums.
Okay, so every student leading up to graduation has some highlights and some lowlights, we'll say. Can you talk about any of the possible struggles that you had during your time as a student, and also maybe some of the moments that you look back on fondly?
Yeah. So like my entire time through Trent, I was really fortunate to have a lot of friends who were from high school. It was actually part of my deciding factor. A lot of my friends were going, and I wanted to be there with them. And it was also a school that I was interested in to begin with. I liked the idea of like having a campus like right in the middle of a river, essentially. That was awesome to me. And like that was the draw. I love it. Going through like Trent and just finishing up and going through to graduation, it was during kind of COVID as well. So there's a lot of stress of being at home and having that weird change of pace where you're always on a Zoom meeting. A lot of your final cumulative projects are going to be done on the computer. There's no face-to-face. I think I did really well with that, but there were times where it was so draining and so tiring just because I liked the idea of being at a university and having the busyness of being in the library and getting work done until like 2 o'clock in the morning, but still having people constantly around me while being able to like do work on my own. Mm-hmm. But then it just turned into doing work on my own in my room. So that was pretty, it was kind of disheartening at times, being stuck. But I think I don't have a unique experience in having that. It seems like everyone was going through it together, which made it easier almost. It's like, we're all kind of going through this really sucky situation together. And I will use that to help me get through it. But going up until graduation, it was just really great because I got to go through like a pandemic with other students who were just equally as tired as maybe I was. And then I pushed through. Everything was really great. The profs were so supportive. And I think some of my best work actually came out of that kind of COVID environment. Being able to just isolate and focus on writing, which is something that's reflective and meditative for me. It really turned out to be something that was really good for me as a writer. And for me, even editing, I was able to like kind of like create a headspace where my entire degree was who I was. And by the time that I was graduated, I was able to be like, wow, I figured that out and I can kind of branch out from there. And that's kind of how the graduation went. It was just this kind of huge path of like figuring it out, kind of like flowing with emotions, trying to be positive and getting it done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything that you would do differently now that you are on the other side and you've graduated?
I would easily tell myself to slow down. Like life can get so busy. Deadlines can come up so quickly. Mm-hmm. And you have to have like a sense of urgency to meet those deadlines and those expectations. But I also think we should make room, or at least I should be able to let myself make room for these things so I don't feel rushed. Mm-hmm. And I think I picked that up when I was in the UK, because a lot of the courses, it's just like you're learning. And then at the end of the semester or the term, you have all or almost all the crux of your grade is like isolated on an exam or a couple of papers. So just relearning and allowing myself to engage with my material in a way that kind of suited my lifestyle, because I was working there too, worked best for me. So learning how to slow things down, but still know that there are deadlines in place. So like blocking out time, realizing when I should be like, maybe not be scrolling through TikTok for like forever, just letting myself have the time and enjoying that process of just learning. Because when something's done, like in an assignment is like handed in, or anything like a personal goal is finished, I look back and I want to look at the progress that I made. I want to see the stages that it took for me to get to this point in my life, whether it be like academic or otherwise. So slow things down. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give myself. Slow things down with a goal in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it feels like university is so long, right? Like 3 years, 4 years, but it actually goes by really quick. And there are just so many different demands that go on during that time. Like you have classes to attend, you have homework to do, you may have a part-time job, you have a social life, and finding balance. And I think like by what you're saying, like slowing down, like just kind of taking a moment to be like, okay, I can't be a superstar for all these things within one day. Like you kind of have to prioritize. And I think slowing down and just taking a moment to be like, okay, like what needs to be done today and what can I push off to tomorrow, I think is also like a really, I think it's a common struggle for a lot of students trying to balance that, and slowing down definitely helps for sure. If you were to go to school again, I don't know if you put any thought into this or not, but if you were to, is there any school or program that kind of piques your interest?
Yes. Ever since I was like, alongside reading, I loved architecture. And that's a really, I guess it's kind of a weird thing for a kid to like, oh man, a 5-year-old loving architecture. But it all started when I was at the beach and I made this little like waterway starting from like midsection of the beach, and I dug out little like runways with like, I made it so elaborate in my mind, like it's probably a lot better than it actually looked in real life. My memory has probably like embellished the way that it looked, but right. I had a lady come up to me and say like, hey, you should be an architect. And I was like, oh, cool, okay. And then I went and asked my mom what an architect was. And that's kind of where like I like the idea of architecture too. So I think I would go to my dream school, the one that I kind of was on the fence about going to begin with.
Mhm.
The University of Glasgow School of Arts. I would love to go there, do the architecture thing, and just see it through. I think part of the reason why I didn't do it is because it was so far and it was expensive.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of reclaimed a little bit of my want to go abroad with my study abroad program. So I was able to kind of do it just in a different way. But yeah, I'd go back. I'd do architecture. I would switch it up completely.
I feel like your story is so relatable in the sense of like you considered English literature, then you went on to sociology, then you decided to graduate from from English literature. Now you're like, well, maybe architecture. Like I just feel like that is so relatable because I don't know how many students walk into their first day of their undergrad registered in a program. And then when they go to graduate, it's that same program. Like so many people switch their majors throughout, or after they graduate, they're like, you know what? Maybe this other program would have been better. And then they switch careers. And so I really appreciate you kind of explaining your thought process through it all. Because I feel like it's so relatable and like so many people can say like me too to that situation for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So to end this kind of Q&A, I want to do five quick questions, a little bit off topic. So question number 1, how do you take your coffee or tea?
I go through phases of drinking coffee and tea. Right now, I am in a bit of a tea phase. I'm transitioning out of the coffee. Tea is always like a little bit of brown sugar and a little splash of oat milk. My absolute favorite. I will take it that exact way every single time. But for coffee, I am so picky. If it's good coffee, I will have it black, nothing in it. And if I know it's good coffee, I will just have absolutely straight Americano. But if I know it's bad coffee, I will put in like, I'll be like, hey, yeah, I need a little bit of milk and sugar to kind of help me out here. But I love a good cappuccino too. So yeah, it depends on how I'm feeling.
What is your favorite book?
I have this curse where the last book that I've read tends to be the book that I say is my favorite. So right now I'm reading The Strangers, and it is incredible. I think it was shortlisted for the Giller Prize. But if I'm like really honest, it's probably The Edible Woman by Margaret Atwood. I just keep reading it. I will revisit it every couple of years or so, and I will take something away from it every single time. I will go back and reread paragraphs or like the ending of the book because I love the ending. I love just the whole thing. I'm not sure if you read it before, but I would recommend it to anybody. It's really good. Something that evolves with you. And I think evolves mostly with anyone who can like identify with being a woman or anyone who wants to explore the idea of womanhood or being anything in that spectrum.
Interesting. I think, yeah, anything Margaret Atwood is always a safe recommendation, but no, I haven't read that book. I'll add it to my list for sure. Do you have a favorite podcast, YouTube, Netflix series that you're kind of following right now?
My favorite podcast is Ologies by Ali Ward. Amazing. She is so fun. She's so bright and she's so bubbly. Very similar to like you actually. She'll interview people who are in specific academic fields or doing just research or have a specialization that's completely different to like what maybe would be the norm. Like I think she has like someone who studies like specifically like jellyfish venom, like just jellyfish venom. And she'll talk to them and have these great conversations and you learn so much and it's so fun. And she's so funny. She's just the cutest thing. And beyond the podcast, she does like research of her own and she's a speaker and really highly educated. So Ali Ward, Ologies, easy shout out.
All right. I'll definitely add that one to my list as well. Do you have a must-have tech item right now?
Headphones. I just need something that connects to music in some way. It is how I unwind. It is how I am like zen with my life. I will 90% of the time, if someone was to come over unexpected and catch me in my room doing something, I'm listening to music, having a dance party, or just, just by myself and I need my headphones. As long as I have music of some sort, I like having the headphones because it's like, it feels more personal. It's right in my head and it's just me. But yeah, headphones for sure.
Yeah. It helps take out the outside noise as well. And you can kind of zoom in on what you're listening to, for sure. Last one, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, okay. I thought about this question differently. Like, what was my superpower?
Okay. Yeah. What is your superpower? We can go that way too.
Okay. So my superpower is untangling things. It's
okay.
the weirdest thing. If you give me like a necklace or like a piece of string and you're like, oh, I just need this untangled, I will easily within seconds just untangle it. But if I could have a superpower, I would love to fly. I feel like I'm very boring. I would just want to be able to do that. It would make my life so much easier. If I need a Starbucks real quick, there's no like driving to Starbucks. I can just, or teleportation, either one, flying or teleportation. But my current average superpower is untangling things.
You know what? I feel like that would be a very useful superpower to have. I knit, and those knots, let me tell you, I just cut them out because they're too much to handle. So
I will come over.
Yeah. I definitely appreciate that superpower. I feel like it'd be useful. Very last question before we end this episode. What advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
I would tell them, just do it. Just go ahead. Just follow your instinct. Even if it gets you in trouble, do it. Go for it. Because that's how the most exciting things in my life have happened. Follow that whim, but be careful too. Just always have that air of caution when you're doing crazy things, or by crazy, it could even just mean applying to a program that you didn't think you would enjoy. And because I ended up doing sociology because I liked sociology, but that was a jump for me. And so was the biology and any of the sciences that I took. Just try it, because otherwise you'll regret it. And I tried to live as free from regrets as possible. So 18-year-old Danny, just do it. Just go ahead.
Just do it. Yeah.
Undercover.
Yeah. I find what like a common theme that I've heard a lot is that you regret the choices that you don't make, or the actions that you don't make versus the actions that you do take. Right. So I completely agree with the idea of like just going for it, because down the road, those will be the thoughts that you're like, oh, I wish I would have just gone for it. Right. Like what's the worst that can happen? So I really appreciate that advice to your 18-year-old self. And I think I would maybe say the same. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me and let me ask you some questions. I really appreciate it. And again, like I found your story just so relatable and so interesting. And I hope other people that are listening to this find it as interesting as well. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me. I had a great time, and we should get coffee sometime. I'll see you around probably, maybe.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to watch these videos, you can watch them on YouTube, or you can listen to these episodes wherever you listen to your other podcasts. So again, thank you so much for tuning in to the Applicant Podcast, and I hope you tune in again soon.